I moved into the studio apartment 3 weeks after my divorce was finalized. It was cheap, quiet, and mine. Nobody else's name on the lease. Nobody else's voice bouncing off the walls. The first night, I unpacked until 2 in the morning. The silence felt heavy but clean. I fell asleep on the bare mattress with my phone flashlight still on. I woke up to the sound of cabinets closing in the kitchen. Not slamming. Closing. Soft. Deliberate. Like someone was putting dishes away and didn't want to wake me. I sat up and stared at the doorway. The apartment was a single room. I could see the entire kitchen from my bed. Nothing moved. I told myself it was the building settling. Old hinges. Thermal expansion. I'm a rational person. I teach high school chemistry. I don't believe in haunted apartments. But the next night, it happened again. Same time. 2:17 in the morning. I know, because I checked my phone the moment I woke. The sound was closer this time, like someone was standing right outside my bedroom area, just past the divide where the carpet turned to linoleum. I got up and turned on every light. I opened every cabinet. I checked the hinges. Everything was solid. No drafts, no loose hardware. I even recorded a voice memo to myself describing what I heard, just to make sure I wasn't imagining the details. The third night, I didn't sleep. I sat in bed with my laptop open, watching the kitchen. At 2:17, I heard it again, but this time, I saw it too. The cabinet door above the sink drifted open, slowly, gently, then closed. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the laptop. I wanted to run, but I couldn't, because when the cabinet closed, I heard something else. A sigh, quiet and tired, like someone finishing a chore they'd done 1,000 times before. I looked up the apartment's history the next morning. The previous tenant had lived there for 9 years. A woman named Caroline Marsh. She died in the apartment. Natural causes, the landlord said when I called. Heart failure. She was found 3 days later by a neighbor who noticed the smell. I should have moved out. I know that, but I couldn't afford to break the lease. And honestly, part of me didn't want to admit I was afraid of an empty apartment. So I stayed. The sounds continued, always at 2:17. Always the same cabinet. I started leaving it open before bed, thinking maybe that would stop it. But it didn't. The door would close anyway, like it was part of a routine that couldn't be interrupted. Then, 2 weeks ago, something changed. I woke up at 2:17 like always, but this time, the sound wasn't in the kitchen. It was closer, right next to the bed. The sound of a drawer sliding open. My nightstand drawer. I didn't move. I barely breathed. I heard the soft rustle of something being moved inside. Papers maybe, or fabric. Then the drawer closed. When I finally worked up the courage to look, I turned on my phone light and opened the drawer. Everything looked normal. My charging cables, a half-empty pack of gum, a small notebook I use for grocery lists. But the notebook was open, and on the page, in handwriting that wasn't mine, were 2 words. I'm sorry. I don't live there anymore. Living alone means you notice things. Small things. Things you'd ignore if someone else were around to distract you. For me, it was the stain on my bedroom ceiling. I first saw it a month after moving into the house. A small brownish mark about the size of a quarter, directly above where I sleep. I assumed it was a water stain from the upstairs bathroom. I made a mental note to check the pipes, and forgot about it. But the stain got bigger, not quickly, just a little each week. By the second month, it was the size of a dinner plate. The edges were darker, almost rust-colored, and the center had started to take on a strange texture, like something was pushing through from above. I'm not handy. I don't know anything about home repair, but I knew enough to realize that water damage doesn't usually look like that. It doesn't spread in perfect circles, and it doesn't smell like copper and old meat. I called a contractor. He came out on a Thursday afternoon, climbed into the attic, and was back down in less than 10 minutes. "There's nothing up there," he said. He looked confused, almost annoyed. No leaks, no rot, no animals. The insulation's bone dry. I showed him the stain. He touched it with his bare hand, then pulled back quickly. He didn't say anything, but I saw his expression change. He left without charging me. That night, I couldn't stop staring at it. I lay in bed with the lights off, and the stain seemed darker than the rest of the ceiling. Darker than it should have been. I could make out the edges, even in the complete blackness of my room. It was like it was glowing in reverse, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. And then I realized something. The shape wasn't random. It had symmetry, curves that repeated, angles that mirrored each other. It looked almost deliberate, like a design, like a face. I turned on the light and grabbed my phone. I took a picture of the ceiling and zoomed in. The more I looked, the clearer it became. 2 dark spots where eyes would be, a curved line beneath them, almost like a smile, but not quite. The mouth was too wide, too knowing. I slept on the couch that night. The next morning, I went back into the bedroom to grab clothes. The stain had changed. The face was still there, but now it was looking in a different direction. Toward the door. Toward me. I'm not insane. I know how it sounds. But I took pictures. The eyes had moved. Not a lot. Just enough to track me as I walked across the room. I stopped sleeping in that house 2 weeks ago. I'm staying with my brother now. He thinks I had a breakdown. Maybe I did. But before I left, I went back one more time to grab my things. The stain covered the entire ceiling, and when I looked up, I saw it wasn't just a face anymore. It was faces, dozens of them, all looking down at me, all smiling that wrong, too wide smile. I don't know what's in that house, but it's not water damage. I live alone in a 1-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor. No pets. No roommates. Just me and the hum of the refrigerator. Last month, I got a voicemail from myself. I was at work when my phone buzzed. The notification said I had 1 new voicemail from my own number. I assumed it was a glitch. Some kind of scam, where spoof callers clone your number. I almost deleted it, but I listened to it anyway. It was my voice, not a recording, not a deep fake. My actual voice, with the same inflection and nervous laugh I hate hearing in videos of myself. And I was crying. The message was 43 seconds long. I've listened to it maybe 200 times since then. I have it memorized. "Please," my voice said. "Please, if you get this, don't go home tonight. Stay somewhere else, anywhere else. I know you won't believe me, but you have to trust me. Lock the door. Don't answer it. Don't look through the peephole. Just stay away. God, please, just stay away." Then, the line went dead. I stood in the break room at work, staring at my phone. My hands were shaking. I checked my call log. There was no outgoing call, no record of me leaving a message. But the voicemail was there, timestamped 20 minutes earlier. I called my own number. It went straight to voicemail, like it always does when I'm on the phone. I left a message. Just a test. "Hey, it's me. Call me back." Then I hung up and checked. The message I just left was there, but so was the other one. The crying one. They were both saved. I didn't go home that night. I stayed at a coworker's place. She didn't ask why. I think she could see the panic in my face. I told her my apartment had a gas leak. I barely slept. I kept checking my phone, waiting for another message. Nothing came. The next morning, I went back to my apartment. Everything was normal. The door was locked. The windows were intact. Nothing inside had been moved or touched. I searched every room, every closet, every corner. Nothing. But when I checked my phone again, the voicemail was gone. Not deleted, just gone, like it had never existed. I checked my trash folder, my deleted messages, my cloud backup. Nothing. The only proof I had was my memory and the fact that I hadn't gone home that night. I tried to convince myself it was a prank, or a hack, or a mental break. But 2 weeks later, it happened again. Same setup, same notification, same voice. But this time, the message was different. "You should have listened," my voice said. "You should have stayed away. Now it knows where you are. It knows your routine. It's been watching you through the peephole. It's been standing outside your door every night at 3:47. You just never looked. But tonight, you will. And when you do, don't scream. It likes it when you scream." I moved out the next day. I'm staying with my parents now. They think I'm going through something. Stress. Burnout. Maybe they're right, but I still check my voicemail every morning. And every night at 3:47, I make sure I'm nowhere near a door. Because I don't know who left those messages. But I know it wasn't me. Have you ever felt watched in your own home but convinced yourself it was nothing? When you live alone, you become aware of your neighbors in a different way. You notice their schedules, when they come home, when they leave. The rhythm of their lives becomes background noise to yours. The woman in apartment 3B came home every night at 6:15. I knew this because I could hear her door close. The walls in my building are thin. You hear everything. Footsteps, muffled conversations, the occasional argument. But I never actually saw her. Not once in the 4 months I'd been living there. I'd see other neighbors. The college kid in 3 Amperes who always smelled like weed. The elderly couple in 2C who argued in Russian. But 3B, never. I started paying attention. Every night. 6:15. The door would close. Then, I'd hear footsteps. Light, quick steps that crossed the apartment and stopped near what I assumed was the kitchen. Sometimes I'd hear water running. Sometimes the faint sound of a television. Normal apartment sounds. But I never heard her leave in the morning. I started listening for it. I'd wake up early, sit by the wall we shared and wait. I'd hear the college kid leave at 7:30, the Russian couple at 8. But no sound from 3B, no door, no footsteps, nothing. It bothered me more than it should have. One night, I decided to check the mailboxes. Every apartment has a name label on the box. 3 Amperes said Turner, 2C said Volkov. But 3B, the label was blank. Just a piece of white tape with nothing written on it. I asked the landlord about it the next day. He looked confused. 3B? He said. That unit's been vacant since March. I've been trying to rent it for months. I told him that was impossible. I heard someone in there every night. He gave me a look like he was worried about me. Then he offered to show me the unit. We walked upstairs together. He unlocked the door to 3B and pushed it open. The apartment was completely empty. No furniture, no curtains, nothing. Just bare walls and stained carpet. The air inside smelled stale and undisturbed. "See?" he said. "Empty. Has been for half a year, but I knew what I'd heard." I walked inside, my footsteps echoing on the hardwood near the entrance. I moved toward where the kitchen should be. The landlord stayed by the door, watching me like I might break something. And then I felt it, a cold spot, right in the center of the living room, the kind of cold that makes your breath fog. I stopped walking. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. I looked down. There were footprints in the dust, small, light prints, leading from the door to the kitchen, then back again, over and over. The same path, the same routine. The landlord didn't see them, or maybe he didn't want to. He told me the building was old. Pipes make noise. Sound travels weird. I nodded and left. That night, I heard her come home at 6:15. But this time, I heard something else. A sound I'd never noticed before. After the footsteps stopped, after the water ran, after everything went quiet, I heard a voice. Faint, muffled, like someone talking through the wall. It said, "I know you can hear me. I don't listen for her anymore. I keep my headphones on at night, music loud enough to drown out the sound of her door closing, because I know if I listen too closely, I'll hear her say something else, and I don't want to know what comes next." I started leaving food out for the stray cat in November. It wasn't my cat. I don't even like cats, but it showed up on my porch every night, skinny and shivering. And I felt bad. So I put out a bowl of dry food and a dish of water every night before bed. And every morning, the bowl was empty. I never saw the cat eat. I'd look out the window sometimes, trying to catch a glimpse, but it was always gone by the time I checked. I assumed it came late at night, after I'd gone to sleep. Then I noticed the bowl was getting emptied faster. At first, I thought maybe the cat was just hungrier. Winter was coming. Animals eat more when it's cold. So I started putting out more food. 2 bowls instead of 1, then 3. By December, I was going through a whole bag of cat food every week. I still never saw the cat. One night, I decided to stay up and watch. I made coffee, turned off the porch light, and sat by the window with the curtains cracked. Maybe take a picture. Prove to myself it was real. I waited for 2 hours. Nothing came. The bowls sat untouched on the porch, steam rising from the water dish in the cold air. I was about to give up when I heard it. A sound like something heavy dragging across wood. Slow and wet. I leaned closer to the window, trying to see. Something was moving near the bowls. But it wasn't a cat. It was too big, too low to the ground. It didn't walk. It pulled itself forward, limbs bending at wrong angles, dragging its body across the porch with a sound like wet fabric on concrete. I couldn't see its face, or maybe it didn't have one. Just a shape, dark and slick, like an oil stain that had learned to move. It lowered itself over the bowls and ate, not with a mouth. It just absorbed the food. The kibble dissolved into its body, sinking into the black mass like stones into tar. I backed away from the window. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped the coffee mug. It shattered on the floor, and the thing on the porch stopped moving. It didn't have eyes, I'm sure of that, but it turned toward the window anyway, toward me, and I felt it looking. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood there, in the dark, watching it watch me. After what felt like an hour, it pulled itself off the porch and disappeared into the yard. I didn't put food out the next night. or the night after. I thought if I stopped feeding it, it would leave, go back to wherever it came from. But 3 days later, I woke up to a sound on the porch. That same wet dragging. I stayed in bed, covers pulled up to my chin, telling myself it would go away. Then I heard scratching at the door, not claws, something softer, like fingers, or whatever it had instead of fingers. I haven't opened the door since then. I don't go on the porch. I don't look out the windows at night, but every morning I see the marks, long dark streaks on the door. And every night, I hear it dragging itself across the porch, waiting for me to feed it again. Living alone means you develop routines, small, personal rituals that give structure to the day. Mine was simple. Wake up at 6:30. Make coffee. Check my phone. Shower. Leave for work by 7:45. I've done it the same way every day for 3 years. Muscle memory. But 2 months ago, I started noticing inconsistencies. Small things at first. The coffee maker would already be warm when I went to turn it on. The bathroom mirror would have a thin layer of fog, like someone had showered before me. My shoes would be by the door instead of in the closet where I always left them. I blamed myself. Absent-mindedness. Stress. I thought maybe I was sleepwalking, doing things at night and forgetting by morning. Then I found the list. It was on my kitchen counter, written in my handwriting on a piece of notebook paper I didn't remember tearing out. Just a simple list of tasks. Make coffee, check phone, shower, leave by 7:45. My routine. Written down in my handwriting. I stared at it for 10 minutes, trying to remember writing it. I couldn't. I checked my trash, my notebooks, my desk drawers. Nothing explained where it came from. I threw it away and tried to forget about it. But the next morning, there was another list. Same handwriting, same tasks, but with one addition at the bottom. Don't forget. I didn't write that. I know I didn't. I would remember. I started taking pictures of everything before bed. The kitchen counter, the bathroom, my shoes. Proof of how I left things. Evidence that I wasn't losing my mind. The next morning, everything was different. The coffee was made. The shower was wet. My shoes were by the door. And the pictures on my phone showed everything exactly as I'd left it, unchanged. But I knew I didn't make the coffee. I know I didn't shower. Someone else was doing my routine. Someone who looked like me. Someone who knew exactly what I did every morning. I started changing things. I stopped making coffee. I showered at night instead. I left my shoes in random places. But every morning, the routine continued. Coffee made, bathroom steamed, shoes by the door, like my body was going through the motions without me. Last week, I set up my phone to record while I slept. I propped it on the dresser, facing the bed, and let it run all night. 8 hours of footage. I watched it the next morning. For 7 hours and 53 minutes, I didn't move. I just lay there, perfectly still, not even breathing heavy. Just still. Then, at 6:27, I sat up. My eyes were open, but they were wrong. Empty. Like looking at a mannequin wearing my face. I watched myself get out of bed, walk to the bathroom, and close the door. The camera couldn't see inside, but I heard the shower turn on. I heard movement. I heard myself humming a song I don't know. Then I walked out, fully dressed, and went to the kitchen. I made coffee. I checked my phone. I put on my shoes. And then I left the apartment. On the video, The apartment was empty for 3 minutes. Then the door opened again, and I walked back inside. I looked confused, disoriented, like I'd just woken up. I checked the coffee maker, touched the warm mug, and stared at my shoes by the door. That was me, the real me, waking up to find my routine already finished. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who's living my mornings. But every day, I wake up a little later. And every day the routine starts a little earlier. Yesterday, I woke up at 7:30. My routine was already done. Today, I woke up at 8:15. Tomorrow, I'm afraid I won't wake up at all. Would you rather know the truth about what haunts you, or live in denial and false safety? This is Dread Dynasty, where nightmares come to life. Thank you for watching tonight's stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because the next nightmare is closer than you think. Check the channel for more interesting nightmare